and minus all the freezing.
Number 6 was half the time I'm viewing you with your mouth open like this,
Same.
and then half the time you're doing the same thing, or you'd be like about to drop a thought, and it would get cut. Like it would just stop. So I'd be waiting there, like, okay. And you, you're probably just keep talking, right? And I froze.
Yeah.
And then I would be like, oh, okay, I guess I'll start talking since Sonny stopped. And I start talking, and then like it's like one word, like cutting in between. I'm like, yo, what the hell is this?
That's funny.
If it was only for a little bit, I would have still posted the episode. But when I watched it, I'm like, holy crap! There's probably like out of this hour and whatever minutes, like a third, at least 30% or more, is like, it was just all cutting in. Like, but it was funny though. I still kept the episode for the blooper reel. Because eventually we'll have enough episodes in, we'll be able to do like funny bloopers, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, just for the people that are listening, the reason for the long break, we tried to record an episode last week, and both of our internet connections were horrible. It's because of the wind. And then I've been doing a lot of renovations at our other property, so it's been kind of hard to just schedule this. So we finally made it happen today. So what's going on, man? How you been the last couple of weeks then?
Been good, bro. Just been honestly busy with the kids, and then just working a lot, just picking up extra shifts.
Yeah, for the holidays, huh?
Yeah, and plus gigs slowed down too, right? So I mean, the few that come in here and there, but mostly just picking up extra shifts, because before, during the season, I was only doing whatever my part-time line was. Now I'm just like basically back to full-time, and then if there's overtime available, like tonight they just messaged saying, does that someone want to pick up 3 to 10:30?
Oh, okay.
I was like, we'll get this done, and then I'll bid from like 5:30 onwards.
Yeah.
So then I'm just gonna work from home from 5:30 till 10:30.
Oh, that's not bad then. That's chill that you could do it from home.
Yeah, I mean, like it's not something they always let us do. It's just in these cases where if there's one person at the office or literally there's no coverage, they'll do what they can and just let us do it, right?
If it gets crazy, do you have to like drive in?
Sorry?
If it gets crazy, like let's say you're working and let's say something happens on site or whatever, do you have to like head on over there, or how does that work?
I've never had anything serious like that happen. I mean, if something was to happen and we both weren't at the office and like we had to go make a visit, I'm sure one of us would.
Okay.
But like generally that doesn't happen. Like you can just send an extra worker if they can find one, or call the families, etc., like that, or depending on what the situation is, probably just call the RCMP and have them deal with it, right?
Fair enough. Yeah. So what about? I was gonna ask you though. I know some of the other guys from Beats by Dole are like they're still in California, right? You guys got some gigs in the States?
Yeah, Ray and Shadu went down because it was slowing down here, and our boy Slams up there, DJ Slams.
Okay.
He's doing really, really good, right? So out there in Cali, the weather doesn't really change, right? So I'm like telling these guys, I'm like, yo, why don't you guys go down? Like if nothing's gonna be happening out here.
Yeah.
And they did, and honestly, it's been awesome. It was a wicked move. So they're still staying busy. You know, they're still posting. We have a gig here and there. I just did a gig the other day. Had to walk in Santa Claus.
Yeah. I saw a picture of it. So what was that? Like, where was that at?
Guilford Golf and Country, right there on 152.
Okay.
Not where Eagle Quest used to be, because that's all torn down and become like apartments right across from it.
Oh, okay.
It's a really small little room, and I walked this guy in, and he was so happy, he was so pumped.
What's the premise behind having a Santa Claus coming in with a door?
It was like a work Christmas party for some like aluminum making company, and like I guess they have some Indian and Punjabi speaking staff there, and they offered like, hey, like if Santa Claus is coming, can we walk him in with the dole, because to show everybody how the culture works, right?
Yeah.
I play decently loud, but like playing in that room with the dole I have, which is pretty loud as is, was loud, man. Like
the echo, right? Like because
it sounded so nice. Like it was like I felt like I was like, yeah, this is how dole's supposed to sound, and I just got even more excited and kept ripping it. And then I'm looking around, there's people literally sitting there going like this, covering the ears, like. It was pretty funny. I played louder because I'm a jackass, but
that's all right, man. You got to give them their money's worth, right?
And then the guy sang a song that It was weird, but it worked out. It's
Like
all
a
good.
Punjabi song, or like a different like a
Yeah, like a old school, like I don't even know, man. That was 80, 70 song.
wait,
Like
Santa sang this or somebody else?
no, some Doug, one of the guys that booked me.
How
And
hectic
then
would
he
that
had
be if Santa
well,
started
like the
singing?
chorus of the song is like ho 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 in like the culture, like the way the song is designed, but just because it says ho ho ho, this guy's like, I picked this song so people can say ho ho ho. So every time that part of the song would come on, he passed the mic to Santa Claus, and Santa Claus would be like, ho ho ho.
That's crazy, man.
I couldn't even stop laughing, smiling the whole time, man. That was just like that was the
Yeah.
quickest. I got there at six. He told me to get there at 6:20. He got there at 6:21 just because he messed like 6:10 saying, can you get there?
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, I live in like what Langley area, Cloverdale, basically. I'm like, it's gonna take GPS says 20 minutes, right?
Yeah.
I got there luckily in 12. And I was out of there by 7:05.
Oh wow, okay, that's not bad, man.
Yeah, 7:05 I was out.
Yeah. Though some of the gigs can be good, man, but then I know you've told me stories of some of the gigs where it's like it's supposed to be only like half an hour, 45 minutes, like a walk-in, and then they decide that they want you there like all day.
Yeah,
All of
and
a sudden, like people all of a sudden flip the script.
which is okay if like you explain to them early enough that like your time frame of you're going to be there based on whatever you've already discussed, and if there's extra, they'll pay you extra. Then I don't mind, right?
Yeah, I think that's what it really boils down to, right? Or like if you're gonna stay there extra, as long as you're being compensated for your time,
Yeah,
you know, the
exactly.
service you're providing. I
Yeah.
think like back in the day,
Oh,
some
dude,
of the guys would let it slide, be like, "Oh, koi na
we let
chalda
us out
hai."
ourselves, man.
Yeah,
Myself, I've been in situations where I got there and like I honestly thought I was gonna do like a quick walk into the bride and groom. I'm not the bride and groom, sorry, the groom at the Gurdwara.
yeah,
Told us like 8 o'clock. We're gonna be there 8:30. I was like, okay, cool. They don't get there till 10:30. Two and a
yeah.
half hours waiting there in the
Uh,
Gurdwara parking lot. Like, oh, sorry, you know things how things happen. So that's why we've changed the way we book now. We straight up say, if you tell me 9 o'clock, I'm gonna be there 9 o'clock, but you
yeah,
have an hour. So whether you show up at 9:50, 55, like I'll let it go. Obviously, then I'm not gonna be like, oh, you're
yeah.
5 minutes over. But if you show up at like 10:30, 11 o'clock, then that's not gonna work,
That's
right?
perfect though. You actually give them like 1 hour of leeway, basically. It's like if you guys are late by an hour, like we'll wait that long. That's
Yeah,
fair. That's
yeah,
fair, man. Because if you think about it like this, let's say if it was like another service and another in another field,
yeah.
you're not going to get an extra hour of leeway time. If you're like late by 15 minutes, sorry, cancel, done, on to the next person
Okay.
type
Yeah,
of thing, right?
exactly.
So I
Exactly.
mean, for whatever reason, I guess maybe how it was dealt with in the past with the companies, people were like, "Oh, going na, it'll be okay. We'll let it slide," right? But I think it's good, man. That degree of professionalism. I
Yeah.
I mean, like I deal with that like in coaching too, where it's like, yo, you want to be like, you want to deal with it professionally, but then there's a guy, I don't know where he was on Instagram, but he was on one of like the bodybuilding podcasts about some creep coaches, like
Yeah.
guys that are just like the worst. Like I
Yeah.
didn't even realize. I always thought there was like a standard. Like some coaches are good, right?
No.
Some are not so good. But as long as you're honest and you tell them like, hey, I only got like a few months experience, but that you're at least like clear in that aspect that your experience level is not that high. It's fine. But then I watched that podcast episode and the guy's like, oh, you gotta send me body comp pictures naked, right? And I'm like, hold on a second. How does that work? And obviously it's like a male coach with female physique clients, right?
Yeah.
And like I was like, holy, like that type of stuff happens. And then obviously I'm thinking in the back of my head, I'm like, obviously majority of the clients are like, no, not happening. But there are those like clients that are like, oh, this person has a name and they do that. And I'm like, holy,
Yeah.
that's nuts, you know?
I got a guess. Sorry.
Oh, there she is. Hi.
I got this item. Say
Hi,
hi.
Cece.
You wait. Oh, you're getting blurred out.
Yeah, she's gonna get blurred because you're the central one.
Okay, go play with it. I'll do this.
So I guess so a few of the clients were like, why don't you just knock out some of your, like we ask people speed round questions on the people that we interview, but we've
Yeah.
never answered the speed round questions. Or
Ourselves?
like, yeah. So they're like, can you rock that? So I got a couple like regular questions where we can dive into a little bit more. Well, we get ripped through these speed round questions because it kind of lets the viewers get to know us a little bit better. Like instead of just like, Sunny being in the medical field and then also being playing the dole and then into the gym and stuff, it gives you more insight into the personality of the person. So favorite book.
Sorry?
Favorite book or audiobook.
I don't have a go-to book, to be honest. To be real with everybody, like I wasn't much of a reader. I read, but me sitting in front of a book has always been an issue.
Or what about audiobook?
I've never done audiobooks. Something I've been wanting to get into. But I don't know if there's a book that's really changed me. I've just read things that do help and change things and add value to me, but I can't say there's a book on top of my head, to be honest.
Yeah, I read a lot, man. Like I try to read every day for I have like business related books, nutrition related books. Then I read like a little bit, like if I get time, I'll read some scientific literature of what's new. But if I'm thinking of, if I'm thinking about like, man, like it's hard to give an exact book, but I would say like, if you're somebody that's trying to get like a handle on like, I had a aha moment when I read this book, because when you think about making money, you're like, okay, got to make more money, got to hustle, got to get my hustles going, get my business, make some money, investments, blah, blah, blah. But this book was kind of different, where the name of the book is The Psychology of Money. And it was pretty much like, if you notice, like when you set a goal financially, let's say it's like buy your house, get it paid off, have a certain amount of money in investments, debt free, whatever the goal is, you have a goal post that you set. But then let's say you achieve that goal, or right before you achieve the goal, you're like, oh, I'm going to get there. So let me push the goal post a little further. So what I took from that book is kind of like, what's enough? Like, what's enough for you? So it could be, in your case, it could be your house is paid off, debt free. You have, maybe stocks and bonds, investments, cryptocurrency. You have your kids set up with some funds that are growing, like whatever that like, but you have like, this is enough for me. Like if this happens, my wife can retire and chill, and do whatever she wants to do. She doesn't have to work because she has to work. She has a choice of what she wants to do, type of thing. So like having that enough, and it's different for everybody. So for example, like if you went to somebody, it's like, well, why do you have 50 grand in the bank, bro? You only need to have, just enough for an emergency. So 20 grand. So you can invest 30 grand, right? But for you, it might be that extra 30 grand gives me that security where I'm not stressed. So if like my car breaks down and this happens and that happens, I got more than enough money in the bank to basically cover that. And then obviously anything above 50 grand, you're doing whatever you want with it investment wise. So that book was the first book that I read where they talked about like the psychology of how you think about money versus like, oh, save, the common stuff, right? What is it? Spend less than you earn and invest the rest. And, don't buy that coffee because, coffee adds up by the end of the month and you can invest that money, all that stuff, right? You'll probably read like 15, 20 books and you'll have the same common stuff. This was the first one. It's like, where it's like, I know this is more optimal. I'll probably make more money if I invested it this way, but I feel more secure this way.
Yeah.
So like the old school parents used to be like, let's save enough money for the kids' weddings.
Yeah.
And so then the parents saved up the money for the kids' weddings. And our parents' generation was like that too, where it was more about save money in the bank. Investments weren't really a big thing for the average household, right? It was more like the more you had in your savings, the better, because you could,
Yeah.
Favorite podcast?
Favorite podcast? This one, of course.
Yeah, with our grand total of 5 episodes, right?
To be honest, man, Joe Rogan is something I used to watch pretty religiously. But I haven't watched him as much lately. It's more been real bodybuilding podcast, man.
Yeah,
Abiyad and the whole crew, man. It's a ritual, dude. I'll watch like one episode throughout the whole day, between meals while I'm driving. I try not to watch it in one go because I have nothing else to do.
Yeah.
I don't even listen to music sometimes. I'm just driving, watching these guys.
Yeah, yeah. It used to be a go-to for me. Not
Yeah.
so much anymore because they'll go on like a whole episode talking about basically like how they
No.
wipe their ass when they go to the washroom. And you know what the best episodes were, in my opinion, was when the main co-host was still alive, Luke Sandow.
Yeah.
Because he would like, if Fuad would go on a rant on something, Luke would always bring it back and then kind of pull the education side out of things, right?
Yeah.
So I really, mind you, I really liked his approach on the whole bodybuilding scene, the nutrition, the training, and all that stuff. So lately, I haven't been watching that as much. I went back to the JRE, Rogan's podcast.
Yeah.
Not so much because like it's more so I just like like long form. You know, a lot of people pull back. They're like, no, hour and a half is more than enough. I actually don't mind like the 3 hour stuff. And same thing as you. Like, I'll listen to bits and pieces. But like even Fuad's podcast, like a lot of them are hour and a half now. They're not like 2-3 hours. Like I know a few of them were.
Yeah.
But I do that. And even before Fuad's podcast, I actually listened to a shorter podcast, two of them that I listened to. Obviously, number one for me is JRE. Number two is there's a Think Big bodybuilding channel. So a lot of the coaches that I speak to, Dr. Scott Stevenson, Skip Hill, Andrew Barry, those guys, they're really good from the bodybuilding side of things. And they talk about like even the dark side of bodybuilding. So if you want to learn more about gear,
Yeah.
they're really, they take questions from people and they talk about that stuff. And then the third one is the Truth podcast with Hani Rambod. Because that's a coach, Hani and Matt are two coaches that I look up to, because Hani's basically taken it from, he was just a trainer, and then from being a trainer at like 24 Hour Fitness, and he became like the top trainer there. And then basically he went to coach people, help people go pro. From there, he helped those people go to the Olympia stage. And now he has like, I think he has over 20 Olympia titles. He's one of the most winningest coaches.
Yeah.
So I like his stuff because his perspective is there. You know, the funny thing is it brings it back to like what we used to do when we were young and dumb.
Yeah.
Just with like some tweaks, like some minor tweaks. It's like, holy crap. Like what we were doing wasn't actually as wrong as we thought it was.
It just the way we were doing it was
like, look at how the training is now. It's like, oh, you need to have, you know, your spinal positioning has to be like this, and flexion and all this. And it's like all these things are starting to come into place in talking about like correct movement patterns.
Yeah.
But bro, like let's be honest, like you have the Dorian Yates style training, which is very similar to like how these guys are, where it's like, you know, your form has to be textbook.
Yeah.
And then you have guys like Ronnie, Branch Warren. You have even some of the guys now, man, like they're not as tidy with their form, but they got amazing physique. So it kind of goes back to like, are you actually feeling the muscle versus that? But the next one is, what other career would you do if you had a choice? So basically like your dream career.
I don't know. I don't think I've had a dream career, man.
So I never had it before, aside from being like young, you know, I'll be a cop, or I'll be a firefighter, or I'll be an astronaut, or whatever the heck it is when you're really young.
Yeah.
Because I've been doing this kind of part-time, coaching people, training people in person. I got a little taste of it when I used to teach jiu-jitsu more frequently. I would say like if I could do something like one career, I would say is being a trainer, both in person and online, full-time.
Yeah. I mean, if I could do it, if the question is like, what's my dream career, that would actually something I could do that would provide for me, my family, and I know for a fact I'd be good doing it, training and coaching people 100%. And just leading people and coaching people in that sense, 100%. That's not even a question.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I don't choose that only because I've seen how it is, right? Like it's up and down, with its up and downs. That's a whole different conversation though. But like, if you'd ask me that question and be like, you'd be set, you'd be fine. Yeah, training people 100%. And that's not just weights, right? Not weights, nutrition, just in general, man. Just being a life coach and just being, I don't know how to explain it.
So people have taken the life coach thing and they gone a little crazy with it. So like they started making like courses on how to be a life coach type of thing.
No, don't do that.
I know what you're talking about. You want to be like a little bit more holistic in terms of like more of the aspects. So not just what to eat, not just how to train, but like how you can. This is why John Meadows is one of the best coaches in my
Yeah,
opinion, because
exactly.
he would make sure his guys are like, if you talk to him about finances, he had like so many years of experience working at Chase Bank on the executive level, working on pretty big projects. So he had an understanding of how the banking system works. So he talked to people about that. He was found like in his personal or in his unique situation, he was grounded in faith and stuff.
Yeah,
So his aspects that he learned through faith, being a good person and things like that. Not saying that somebody that not grounded in faith isn't a good person. I'm just saying in this example, he was like that. So he took like a huge, like it wasn't just here's your diet and here's your training. It was like, all right, cool. Like you need help. You got to wear a lot of hats to be a great coach. And he
yeah.
definitely was able to like pass that on to people. I remember listening to a video of his where he was talking about like setting up your finances so you could like he's talking about emergency funds and what you would learn about from somebody in the financial industry, right? Um, so you would be a coach?
That's what I would do. If that's something that I actually want to do, yeah, 100%.
Would you want to prep like bodybuilders, or would it be like is there a specific type of client that you would want to have?
For me, I think it'd be bodybuilding it's something I would want to do, but I feel like it's so tricky getting in there. I'd probably just honestly do bodybuilding and life at the same time. Like someone that wants a lifestyle but wants to look a certain way. But if someone there's a bodybuilder that comes in that just wants to just get huge or whatever he wants to do, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'm saying like dream job, so you get to specialize. So that could be
Oh,
like you only work with general population type people, lifestyle clients, or you'd be
I
like,
think
screw it, I just
bodybuilding
want.
top tier. That'd be wicked.
Yeah,
That'd
and
be
it's
wicked.
not even like the prestige.
Yeah.
It's just more about like figuring like the perfect example is like this. If you're getting a 150-pound competitor ready for a competition and like a 280-pound competitor, those planes are different sizes. And
Totally.
the bigger one's harder to land always. So it's like almost like figuring out how do you get these guys on stage at their best package, right? So what's the worst job you've ever had?
Worst job till this day. I don't think it was a bad job. I just couldn't do it. Was next? No, what the hell's the place called? There's that call center there where Excalibur used to be.
Oh
Beside it,
yeah, yeah. I don't know the name, but I know there a lot of people work them.
it was
Is
like
there a couple there?
now it's like a play area for kids, like arcade and everything.
Yeah, yeah.
But at that time it was, and I got a job there. And yeah, no man, I'm not a person that could sit in front of a computer for 10 hours and 8 hours to 10 hours just talking to people, dealing with computer problems.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt bad the day I left. It was I just got up. You put this little there's a button you push, and your screen would start a timer, right? And the timer you either had the 15-minute or the half an hour break, right? So the timer would start, and you'd have to walk away, go to lunchroom, eat, do whatever you want to do, and you want to be back sitting there before the timer runs out because people around you are gonna start snitching on you, right?
Yeah.
And so whatever, I put the timer and I left. I put my client on hold, told him the manager's coming, which the manager was going to deal with it. I
Yeah.
knew he was going to come back to me anyways. So I
Mhm.
quickly put a 15-minute break. I left.
You just took off?
I took off. I got a
Yeah.
letter in the mail like maybe like 6 months later, like the job abandonment.
Oh, I see. I see.
I was already working other places. That's the only job I've ever left where like I was like, I can't do this. I don't
Yeah,
know what to
yeah.
do. There was
I,
like a signing bonus and everything, man. It was pretty cool. I got like every person you got hired was $500.
oh wow.
I got like 6 people hired and I kept it. Some of them stuck it out. Funny thing is, a couple of them were looking for me.
Oh,
They
they
thought
were
I
looking
still
for you?
yeah, they thought I still working there, so they'd walk around. This place was massive, right?
Hmm.
And looking for me, trying to find me where I'm working. And they're like, "Yo, bro, where are you? Where are you?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm in that area." And they're just gonna be happy here till
That's crazy.
yeah, if I told them I was not there anymore.
Yeah, for me, I would say, I mean, most of my jobs, like, there's obviously good and bad. The one that I probably disliked the most was we were doing an outside siding job in the winter. and it was like quite a few stories up. Like we were way up there, so the wind chill was just nuts.
Yeah.
Like basically, if you like use hand sanitizer and went out there, your hands would start to freeze. Like
Oh, wow.
it would just be nuts. So I would say like not the job itself, but like the conditions at that time and doing that at that time, it sucked. Like I mean, we did like indoor work, it wasn't terrible, but it was a siding job that I did outside in the winter. And I've done like paving and stuff too in the summer. And done like heavy labor work, so like I kind of know what it's like. But that one was probably the worst one. What is your favorite comedian or favorite comedy show or movie?
Comedian. I'm not really into comedians. I don't really watch stand up. I mean, the most I've seen like Felipe, Furby.
Dude, you've been to live Ari Shafir.
Hold on a second. Sorry, she just
She's fooling around.
yeah. What are you saying?
You've been live to like you watched Joe Rogan's buddy Ari Shafir live. Don't you remember that?
Where was that?
Remember when we went to the comedy mix?
Oh yeah, no, like the comedy mix, like they're cool to go to. I just on top of my head, I can't say like I just saw.
This is before they blew up. Like this was years ago.
No, like they're funny. Like I've gone to those comedy shows. I've gone to Furby. I've gone to Russell Peters live. I've done.
Oh, you have?
Yeah, I've gone to Peters live.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I think I've seen a few other guys too, but none of them are like I can't say I'm go to on it. Funniest one, I mean, that I could think on top of my head that probably made us laugh the most growing up is probably Russell Peters because he just cracked into the community, right?
You don't have any comedy movies that you like?
Top of my head, I can't think of anything to go to right now.
Okay.
Personally,
Yeah, so for me, it's a low budget movie.
yeah.
A lot of people haven't heard about it. I mean, if you're from the UK, you've probably heard about it. It's called Four Lions.
Four Lives,
Four Lions.
Four Lions.
It's like it's the specific type of humor, but like what the way we got it, we watched it in VHS tape first, so that dates us, right?
Yeah.
And we had like not our neighbors, but a couple houses down. We were close with that family, and that family moved with their kids to the States not to the States, to the UK. And they came back in the summertime and would spend the summers here.
Yeah.
And one time they came and they like handed us these movies. They're like, hey, check these out. It was there's a Jimmy Grimble soccer movie, which is also low budget, not very popular, and which we actually liked. And then the Four Lions. It's like it's a unique. It's funny. It's like such a low budget, hilarious movie, but it's unique humor. Not everybody finds it funny, but like you should see Juggy when he watches it, man. He's like he loses it.
Even till today.
Even till he knows the storyline through and through, and he's gonna laugh his ass off. And I have a couple friends from the UK that moved here. They live here now. They talk about it and they just laugh their heads off, man.
I wonder if you can find it on YouTube.
You probably could, but then the thing is, though, you kind of want to watch it like in your theater room would be a good idea. Like get down there, maybe on a day that you guys have a cheat meal, throw that movie on. And it's like a unique humor, so maybe you would like it, but maybe someone like it, or vice versa. It's like kind of like if it's your taste.
Yeah.
Next question is, what is your favorite movie of all times?
Oh man, that's a tough one, dude. It's the reason that question, like I can't. It's hard to pick, is because
there's so many.
Yeah, like it's just there's so many different genres too, right? Like you can go from Gladiator to Bad Boys 2 to like I don't know, man. There's so many.
You only get one, bro. There's only one of all time favorite.
I'd say Bad Boy 2 or Gladiator.
So it's tricky because did you ever work security when you were younger?
No. No. I mean, kind of, but not like officially.
So I worked security when I was younger for quite a few years, especially when I was doing jiu-jitsu, because I wanted to pick a type of work where I could go in and train, but not have to worry about doing heavy labor that would like mess with my training, right? So I did security for a long time. Probably got comfortable doing it and spent like an extra year or two in there more than I should have. But I watched a lot of movies during that time. A lot,
That's all I
man.
used to talk about was like just
It was ridiculous. Like like even to this day, like I'll be in a conversation, they're like, this guy knows the lines to the movie when we're talking about specific things. Because it's just I watched all of them, man. I even got to a point where even if I didn't know the name, I would watch it. And there's some movies that you would probably look at like the cover and not watch it because you're like, God, it seems lame. Or you look at the title and you think it's lame. Then when you watch the movie, because you're like, oh, whatever, next thing up, I got an hour to kill before I do my next round and checks. So then I would just watch another movie and different shows too, man.
Yeah.
So it's hard. It's really hard to nail down one. It's easy to go with Gladiator because it's a classic. So I would say, like, when I used to compete, that would be what we would watch the night before. We'd get so nervous, we want to keep our mind off it, but so it would be like, generally it would be Gladiator and Lord of the Rings, and that would be Lord of the Rings. Like the trilogy is a very long series. Like you're gonna lose like 5 to 7 hours right there. We used to watch that and Gladiator, and then we'd go to sleep and then wake up the next day and we'd compete.
Yeah.
So I would say Gladiator, but if you ask me if I got a cheat meal and I'm sitting down and what's going to be put on, like 9, I don't know why, it's always Fast and the Furious 1.
Oh yeah. I mean, the Fast and Furious, those movies are awesome. Like,
yeah, but like
for one, yeah.
Taryn would be like, again? But it would just be like automatic pilot. I just go on Netflix, blah blah blah. Oh, Fast and Furious, put it on. It wasn't like I was into.
You don't have to pay attention as much. You already know what's gonna happen. You just want to eat. You just want something to watch and just be brain dead, right?
How often have you gotten your food ready, and you're so ready to dig into your food, and you delay eating your food because you don't know what to watch?
Yeah, all the
so you're literally like spending 15-20 minutes like, what should we watch? And you're like, no. Yeah. You can't even land on anything, right?
Yeah.
So for
Last Samurai was really good for me too. I don't know, that movie.
Actually, yeah, that was epic. That's an epic one.
Watching that one, like I still remember, like I was like, wow, I can't be.
Did I not recommend that one to you?
You might have before, but I think I watched it before that. I can't remember now.
Dude, I still don't like. If somebody's watched this movie, I know there's some like there's something that we're trying to be taught. So maybe you know. So remember when he talks to the main guy? It's Katsumoto or whatever, right? And they're talking about cherry blossoms.
Yeah.
You remember that? And then when he has to, okay, spoiler alert, we're gonna be talking about the movie, but remember when he asks him to kill him at the end, and then he stabs him and he sees cherry blossoms. I'm still trying to figure out like what was the meaning behind all that.
I'd have to watch the movie again. I can't remember that far. I mean, I'd have to watch the movie one more time to just pay attention to that scene and the whole.
Yeah, that's why movies are so epic, bro. They sprinkle in all this like crazy like lessons in there, right?
That's the kind of question that you would have asked if like you watched that movie in high school or something, and the teacher's like, "All right, so what was the significance of cherry blossom?" Like, oh,
actually in high school we watched Rumble in the Jungle, the one with Muhammad Ali and George Foreman, I think.
Let's see.
And you know how Muhammad Ali would like speak in a poetic manner. He would rhyme and he would burn the guy. So he was very eloquent in the way that he talked. So we watched that. Next one is what superpower would you have? Only one.
Like, are you talking about like superpower, superhero? Like
same thing. So you could fly like a bird or like Superman. You could shoot like lasers out of your eyes like Cyclops from X-Men. Like you could basically do anything. But only one power. It can't be like, oh, this one power lets me do like 5 others.
I'd probably be Thor.
So you want to control thunder?
Yeah, just be fucking strong as fucking fly around.
No, but that's you being a superhero. The superpower, you only get one.
Oh, the power. Oh, fuck.
Because then obviously Thor can fly. He's got electricity. He's got the hammer.
Yeah,
I just told you can't do that.
Oh, man. That's tough, dude. What would you pick? Yeah, think
So
about that.
I've actually debated this. Like I have some guys, man, when I would talk to them in jujitsu or like at the gym after training's done, these guys go deep. Like the ongoing one in the jujitsu community is like, can a bear beat a lion, and vice versa,
Can a
right?
bear get a
So
lion? Okay.
yeah, like imagine if you lock a bear and a lion in a cage, who wins?
What kind of bear?
A grizzly,
Okay.
right? But then, so like there's things like that, right? But I'm thinking because I was gonna say teleport.
Yeah.
Imagine if you could just like, okay, I'm going to the UK piece,
Yeah.
right? Like you could just take off. So if te-
If you're in an MMA fight, about to get punched, boom, you're in Mexico as a
or you
motherfucker.
just teleport behind the guy, right?
Oh man, that'd be so
You
fun.
could do a lot of stuff. So I would do teleporting, and then if people say that's a cop out, you need a different one. I would
Yeah.
move really, really fast, like the Flash.
Yeah.
Because if you
Um,
think about it, man, if somebody shoots you with a gun, you're gone. They can't hit you. If somebody
is it
wants
a
to,
is it a superpower to have that power where like whoever you touch, you get whatever the skill they have?
I guess.
Like let's say like you just want to be a crazy basketball player, you go go touch a basketball player, boom.
Did you watch
You
like
got it.
Space Jam or something, man?
Yeah, like Space Jam, man. Can you imagine? Oh dude, that'd be sick.
Yeah,
I'd fly,
for the young bucks listening, in
I'd fly to
Space Jam,
India.
these aliens take the athletic skills from some of the greats like Ewing and some of those guys. Yeah, and from basketball, they like made them. What was it? They made them touch like the energy ball thing, and they
Yeah,
take all
yeah,
their
yeah.
powers.
Yeah, yeah.
And then they took the players' powers, and that made just watch Space Jam if you guys want to know further. But
But there's an actual movie, or is it a superhero? Someone that is able to do that. They can just touch you and whatever
I
you.
mean, yeah, like let's say you could take their power or their skill, so you're like your power is to steal other people's abilities.
Yeah, but they don't lose theirs. You just have it too now. Like you genius and make freaking be a billionaire, and then you can be jacked at the same time, and then also be able to fly tanks and airplanes.
Yeah, yeah. But then the thing is, then it depends. Like, let's say me and you meet, and I'm super fast, and I know that that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to jack my power.
I
You're
would
never
jack.
gonna touch me.
Okay, I'll just be slow.
No, no,
Or
but then no, but then I'll be like, I gotta take this guy out, otherwise he's gonna start jacking stuff from people, right? That seems like a loophole, man. What you're doing there
right?
seems like okay. I'm gonna have the power to steal powers, but I can stack them, so I can just jack all this stuff.
It's like, oh,
You shake my hand, boom, jack my power. Now you're super fast.
yeah, it's like, yo, you're the best shooter in the world. Boom, so am I.
Next one is oh, okay. Now it's superhero.
Superhero.
So now it could be like Thor or whatever.
Superman. I was a fan of growing up, hands down. I just in like the whole S concept with my name and everything, right? Whatever, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like after watching the movies and stuff, he didn't really do what it did for me when I was younger. So at this age, I'd say I'm between Wolverine or Thor.
Yeah, I mean, did you watch Man of Steel?
No, I didn't see that yet. I've
Check it
seen
out,
bits
man.
and pieces of it. I
Dude,
mean,
man, I'm gonna forget his name now. He's also the guy that is the main character in The Witcher. Oh man, he also trains jujitsu with Hodger. Some of these actors are freaking savages, man. Tom Hardy, the guy that played Bane,
Yeah.
he trains at Brawley's Academy in Birmingham. Brawley is one of the multiple time world champions.
Yeah.
And then I think the guy that plays Man of Steel, Superman is oh man, I'm gonna look it up afterwards to remember his name, but I would so you're gonna go with Wolverine or
Thor. Thor because he just does that thing and he flies to where the hell he wants to fly to.
I'm gonna go with Wolverine, man.
Yeah, Wolverine,
just his ability to regenerate.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Did you watch the X-Men movies?
Yeah, did you? I watched the whole, all of them, and even like the actual Wolverine movies too.
Do you remember the one X-Men movie where Jean, she turns into that like Phoenix thing and she starts burning everything?
Yeah.
Remember he's like walking out, he's the only one that can walk up to her and she's like disintegrating his body, his skin's like disappearing and he's growing it back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man, that scene was epic. I was like, holy crap, this is nuts. Like that's sick, like crazy level regeneration.
Yeah, man. Like it's insane. Like you're just like, wow. Like
Yeah, that's
just
basically like me hitting you in the head with a sledgehammer and you just recover.
laughing. Yeah. Henry
Henry
Cavill.
Cavill, yeah. He's actually I don't know if you've watched The Witcher or like followed that series. It's based on the game.
Yeah.
It's more. I don't know if you would really like it because you're not a huge fan of like you like.
Oh, he also played the other movie. Uh, what's
He
that
was in Immortal, which was one of his
Immortals?
earlier films,
Yeah. That's what I've seen.
right? Which was like similar to 300,
That
that
was
type of setup.
yeah.
So yeah, I'd go with Wolverine.
Was it
Do you have a
47
fear?
Ronin? That was good. That was good too.
Which one?
47 Ronin? Is that what it was?
No, that's Keanu Reeves.
No, but it's 47 Ronin. That's what it's called, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
That's a good movie too.
yeah. That one was with Keanu Reeves. That was a good one for sure. Keanu Reeves is another like actor that people sleep on. He's freaking
John Wick, man. Holy.
John Wick,
I mean, John Wick,
Constantine,
man.
Matrix. Like
Yeah.
he's done a lot, man. Matrix was one of the movies I remember. I was still quite young. I think I was like maybe 10, 9,
Yeah.
10 when it came out. Watched it in theaters. Didn't know what the heck was going on. I just liked
Yeah.
this. It was like the first bit of CGI, like the first real good CGI that you saw.
Yeah.
I remember like now you listen to guys that are a little bit older than us talk about it. Like Ron Partlow talks about it on the Think Big bodybuilding media thing, right? And he talks about it on his podcast of like when he talked about it with his brother or something like that, and they're like, dude, you have to watch this movie. Like it was that epic. And it still gets referred this day, like to this day.
It's a wicked movie, man. Like
Ahead of its time.
yeah, it's especially the first one. Like the other ones were okay, like whatever. Like I feel like the action got so insane that there was just scenes that were just like wow, like holy. But
Yeah.
this can't be what number one is.
I think it's just like the first one, they didn't have to go all out because they didn't have to show the real human city in the first one, right? They could get away with just like show the Matrix side of things. But it was just the whole like unplugging.
Yeah.
You know, like whatever way you want to refer to it as being plugged into the system, rat race, then unplugging, blue pill, red pill, all that stuff. Like there's a lot of like correlations to some of the things, you know what I mean?
What pill would you take?
I'd get out, man. I'd get out of Matrix. I'd go to the real world. But now the thing is, do you remember which pill that is?
No, I don't remember that. I take both. See what happens. Half my body goes over.
Do you have a fear or a phobia?
Do I have a fear or a phobia? Oh, that's close. I don't think we'll hand in hand though.
No, so like a fear could be not as bad as a phobia. I think the phobia is the extreme. Like, don't you remember like the Maury show where the guy would be like, "I'm afraid of balloons," and the guys would bring in balloons and they'd run away? That's a phobia.
Oh yeah, I don't have a phobia then because I'm not scared of anything that like you're seeing a picture of it or like if it's in the same room as me, I'm freaked out.
Yeah.
Fears for sure, like just and then like stupid things like bees. I hate wasps.
Well, what would be like your top fear then? Like the thing you're most afraid of, maybe.
That I've encountered in my life till today.
Yeah.
Like, are you saying like an object I'm scared of?
It could be object, but it also could be like fear of failure. Right? Like maybe you're petrified, like you don't do anything because you're just so afraid you're gonna fail.
I don't think I have a fear of failure. I have a fear of, I guess, failure. That is failure. Like trying your hardest and then just not being. I guess that's failure. Yeah. But otherwise, on top minus that, it'd be like wasps.
Yeah. You start
like,
literally trying to punch them and stuff, but that's because you're allergic.
I'm not allergic, bro. It's just those things.
What? I always thought you were allergic to bees, man. The way you like swat them away, I'm like, oh, this guy's got to be.
No, man. I just got traumatized as a kid by them. Like I gotta like, just I messed with them myself. I burned their hives down and shit. So, but like,
oh, okay. So you just got payback.
I got payback pretty bad. So like, those things, not a fan of. The people are like, just be nice, don't be calm. Oh man, they lie.
Yeah.
I was calm around them. I still got stung, right? So.
I would say for me, like like there's no like real, I would say maybe the fear of letting people down. That was like, I remember going to tournaments in my early years, and I would just be looking for a reason to leave. Like, oh, there's only one person in my division. Give me the refund. I'm out of here. Right? Like people don't know that because they saw me later on like, holy crap, you're so calm. You're so this, you're so that. You have like no facial expressions when you compete and things like that. But I remember I had a performance anxiety at an early age because I did basically I had to coach myself and then I had to go into tournaments by myself. I didn't have a lot of coaches. I'd have to like watch tape. So like now John Danaher is like the go-to guy because he studies so much jiu-jitsu. But when I first started, yeah, I was kind of the same. I would just kind of watch. But obviously I'm not like Danaher when it comes to understanding and breaking down tape. I would just kind of pick my favorite fighters and watch them. But there were times where I would be like, yo, I'm out. Like, I don't want to compete, you know? Mike Tyson had this too, where he tells the story of when he's gonna fight his first fight after meeting Customato.
Yeah.
And he sees the train and he's like, he's like afraid, he's crying. And then he's like, I'm out of here. I'm going to just take the train and get the hell out of here. I don't have to be here. And then for me, a lot of it was, I think it was letting down the people that were watching me. So like, I was like the coach. I got flung into a coaching position before I was even ready because the gym needed it that way. They're like, we need somebody to coach. We keep fluctuating and changing, and the new guy comes in. So I became a coach to people that were still kicking my butt when we were training. But because I would study, I'd still be able to show them stuff, and they would still be able to get better. Which in turn is counter. Like I'm getting whooped harder because I'm teaching them how to do it right.
Yeah.
And then eventually I started to travel. I started to learn from like some champions here and there, see the caliber difference. But for sure, that was probably what held me back the most when I was competing in jiu-jitsu was like I guess you could say fear of failure, but it was like more like performance anxiety. When I would go and compete, I would do well every time. Even if I lost, it was like, oh, I didn't get decapitated and destroyed and like, you know, the guy smoked me like 20-0. But it was always like if like when we went to San Diego, I was like, I'm competing every week because we made the monetary like sacrifice of basically paying to go there for like 3 to 4 months, right?
Yeah.
But here I would be like, I think it held me back a little bit. I probably would have competed in 50% more competitions. And if you compete more, your experience level is going to be higher. You're going to be better. No matter like, that's why when people talk to me and let's say they're asking me competition related stuff and I haven't competed in a while, I always tell them like, man, this is what I do, but it's different when you're in a competition because like obviously the moves are similar, the technique, all that stuff is similar, but if you're learning, you need to be looking at somebody that's studying competition tape, right? So, I mean, but definitely it was like performance anxiety, fear of failure, something similar. And then I could say maybe heights, right? Like if I'm like super, super high up, like Eiffel Tower level high, and then I'm looking down and I could fall over, I'll be like, oh crap, that's pretty hectic. Right. So,
yeah, I mean, if I'm secure, like I know I'm not, like I won't fall unless like I do.
So you're telling me if I take you to the Eiffel Tower, but I hook you up to like a latch, that like secure latch that the roofer people use, and we dangle you down, you're not going to be shitting bricks?
Dangling's different. But if you just
but that's still heights, right? Still heights. You're secure.
No, but like you're secure while dangling. If you're like on top of a patio thing they have up there, and like, you know,
I guess I'm making it more extreme.
It's like how it was like remember we used to work at the warehouse together.
Yeah.
And those high-rise forklifts I used to drive.
Yeah.
The first time I fell off one.
Yeah.
Being up there, it wasn't an issue when I was order picking, except the first couple of times. But like that one time, my foot slipped, and I went off. Oh, that instant was fear because I was like, "Oh shit, how am I gonna get back up?"
Yeah, and those like the harness thing freaking crams up your legs and your
man. It wasn't even a comfortable harness. It was like it wasn't long enough for you to fall off properly that you can try to swing yourself back up.
Yeah,
and it was long enough. Like it was weird, bro. Like you fell off,
yeah,
but you awkwardly fell off. Like you're not even dangling enough that you can try to like pull yourself up. You're just like halfway. I was like, oh man, I like swing my legs around and like, oh, it was bad.
Oh, okay, I'll answer this. We should answer this one. This is off from the the speed round type questions. But what type of nutrition setup are you running right now? This is a client question. They're asking like what we do.
I'm running whatever you just sent me.
I don't think I sent you anything.
Well, whatever you've been sending me, that's what I'm just running. This typical bodybuilding, man. Like,
wait, you're calorie cycling?
wait, that's
yeah, low, moderate, high days, right?
Yeah,
I'm doing something different. So Sonny is running a calorie cycling plan that I usually run if you're trying to maintain performance while you're trying to lean out. So he has low days, moderate days, and high days. I don't know how much the client wants me to go into detail about that, but if they can ask again if they want to hear more. And I'm running a pretty simple plan. It's the same nutrition every day in terms of macros. I got carbohydrates in the 3 meals that surround the workout window, so before and then the 2 meals after. Then basically all the other meals are modified keto, so higher protein, high fat, no carbs.
Yeah.
And then the only difference is on training days, and on training days the post-workout meal is like cereal, like rice checks, gluten-free cereal, and I just put some whey in there. The days that I don't train, I don't have that because I don't need the fast absorbing carbs. So that's what I run right now. Yeah, if you want a better, like more of an explanation, just let us know and then we'll go into detail afterwards. What's that?
Not anything.
Oh, your hand was up and you're like da da da.
Oh, froze?
Now you're freezing now a little bit.
No, it's freezing. You're froze. Wow, right at the end, like we're like 4:55.
Yeah, we got 5 minutes left anyways.
Yeah,
but we'll do like
frozen again.
Yeah, we'll do 1 or 2 more. And then you got to head out because you picked up a shift too. But your first role model.
My first role model, man, my grandpa and dad for sure, bro.
Okay, let's say outside your family, if you have any.
I don't know. I don't think I had one, man. I was just looked up to those guys.
Okay, so
growing up, I didn't like. Yeah, no, I can't think of anyone because I didn't watch enough stuff to really pay attention to a certain person.
Yeah. So in our generation at that time, there wasn't a lot, like YouTube wasn't huge when we were really young.
Yeah.
Like there wasn't a lot of social media stuff when we were younger. Yeah, obviously aside from family, like, obviously for guys and girls, their parents can be super influential, or a cousin or uncle or whatever. Outside of the family, I would say is probably Lukka for me.
Yeah.
Because
but he was family too, wasn't he?
Pardon me?
He was family in a sense too.
Yeah. But like, outside of immediate family,
Yeah.
Because what happened is I can tell the story. So I remember I wanted to start working out, and this is when I first started going to Optimum, and I used to eat aloo parathe with ghee and have a big cup of cha, and then I go hit the gym for like 3 hours, 4 hours, and do every exercise for that muscle group. So legs literally used to be like squats, leg extensions, leg curls. I wouldn't train calves because I skipped calves, and basically just like keep doing all the exercises and all movements I could do for quads, hamstrings, not training to failure, just doing reps, like following the numbers. And then I remember I was telling my dad, I'm like, I don't know how to train. Then Lukka started coming over more frequently, and he's like, I got a book, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, in the book, like, it'll help you. And I'm like, okay, cool. And I think almost like 6 months go by. Then eventually I'm like telling my dad, I'm like, yo, man, he's supposed to give me a book. He's supposed to help me out with training. And then he gives me the book. This is where there's only it's single digit numbers of people that know about this diet, right? It's that 5,000 calorie diet. I'm serious. Only single digit people know. And I've had that book for almost 15 years, maybe longer. Because he told me, he's like, don't just hand out this book to anybody, right? Like it was like the holy grail when I got it. Right? I still got it. I'm gonna
No
pass it. I'm gonna pass it to I'm gonna pass it to Savo, man, when he gets older and be
way.
like, the legend. It's a legendary book, man. I actually have a good friend of mine who's like, yo, can I go back on that diet? Because I do his nutrition too. He's like, I just want to go back on the bulking diet, right?
You put Hookem and Save both on it, right?
Yeah, that. Have you seen the Bruce Lee and it's from one of the Bruce Lee movies where it's like, hey man, did you cut for this? And he's like, no, perma bulk. That's how we used to be. So basically in the book, it was like a workout program. It would have a bulk, like a sample bulking diet, which was around 4,500 to 5,000 calories. And then it was an explanation of how you should train heavy, train with good form, and it talked about the experiences of the author. And then he even had like a modified keto cutting type diet. And I remember I started off, I could barely bench 135. And every year I added on a 45-pound plate per side with that plan.
Yeah.
So we're talking like in 3 years, I was basically went from a plate to 4 plates bench press. Right. I think everybody that was on the plan was like, they grew like a weed. It worked. But you're eating a lot. Like we're talking about probably just north of 5,000 calories.
Yeah.
So he became like the role model for that period of time, man. And then I really looked up to him when it came to the world of like training and nutrition, because in Kabaddi, he used to be the guy that you had some of the guys that were still doing kind of like the desi thing where it'd be like, I'm going to eat meat, but I'm also going to have roti and butter, like kind of what they do in India. And this guy was like eating his plan. Like he had like a bodybuilding type diet. He trained like a madman, and then he would actually practice Kabaddi. So like for me, I didn't know him as like the crazy Kabaddi player. I knew him as just like the disciplined guy that, basically dotted all the I's, crossed all the T's, right?
Yeah.
And, people got opinions of people, like some people might like him, some people might hate him. But my experience with him has always been like a positive one. He'd always be like, how's training? Right? How's training going? You still keeping up with it?
Yeah.
And you know what? Like in the world we live in with gear and stuff like that, and people are going to talk about, him and gear and stuff like that. He always, with me, said, you don't need it, man. He's like, just keep training. You don't need it. And then he's like, if you get older and you think that you require it or you need it for your goals, then you do it when you're older. He never was the type of guy that's like, oh, I gotta hook up. Here you go. He'd always tell me to do it naturally. And this is where people are missing it nowadays. Yeah. It's like, are you maxing out the training?
Yeah.
And here's the thing too. Are you really maxing out the training?
Yeah.
Right. People think they are. And then when you take them through a few sets to failure, you put them through some intensity techniques. Next thing you know, they're like, oh man, I didn't know that there was levels to this thing. And then the nutrition too. A lot of people are just under eating calories or eating hyper processed stuff. So, I mean, it's one of those things, but we should probably wrap it up because you got to head out to your shift, right?
Yeah. Head out.
So no role models outside of your dad and grandpa?
It's funny how you say that. Like, I saw him, like, uncle a lot growing up, right?
Yeah.
Because he's mutual friends with us too. Like, and when it came to training, like, that was one person that I could for sure idolize looking at him, because I was never close to him enough that I could ask him questions, but he always gave advice. He always said, keep training. I mean, but I was a big kid then. Like, then when I saw him after I lost all my weight and like started getting into training properly, he couldn't even recognize me, right? And now till this day, you still run into him and it's nothing but positive, right?
Yeah. Man, he's the first guy that I showed a video of Ronnie Coleman. Like, if you guys watch the old DVDs, there's a Ronnie Coleman Redemption, and Ronnie Coleman's bench pressing 5 plates.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow. And I'm trying to look at his face to see his reaction.
Yeah.
Because he's done it, right?
Yeah,
that's the crazy part.
Yeah.
Because for him, one of his best lifts and his strong muscles was chest.
Yeah.
People, like, I remember he never boasted about his lifts. But I remember there was a guy that was like he was in the Kabaddi kind of thing. He was more of a spectator, but he'd lift. And he's like, he remembers one time before Najibo owned Optimum Fitness, it was the other guy. He came into the gym, he hopped in the squat rack because he never asked anybody for a spot. He didn't want to bother anybody. He just kind of get his training in. And this guy did 4 plates for reps for like 4 or 5 sets.
Uh-huh.
Right. And I'm like, what do you mean for reps? He's like, after 12, I stopped counting. I'm like, what? And then you think it's like a myth, right? You think it's like, okay, like this guy's just shooting it. And he's like, no, listen, he did it. And I was like, whoa. To this day, I haven't met anybody that does 4 plates for reps like in person. Like I know Ian Valier can do it, but like even now he's saying like, yo, I can't do that anymore. I could do that when I was younger.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, it's funny how we landed on a similar role model, you know what I mean? But like most of them are not out there. Like, you know, people don't know that like these guys are willing to help, and they don't put themselves out there as like, yeah, I helped that guy, I helped this guy. They kind of just stay quiet and be like, yo, man, do good and just train.
Yeah.
So for me, it was him for sure.
Like, yeah, I mean, to add, like, when I got into training, the only people that was really around were my cousins, like, so that I used to work with at the airport. The ones that I don't think you met them.
No, I don't think so.
Even oddly enough, Ankar.
Yeah.
He gave a lot of advice growing up, right? And then he was jacked, right? You're like, holy fuck, this guy's huge.
Yeah.
And you still till this day you see him. I mean, I don't go to, like, he doesn't ask. I mean, give advice now unless I asked him. But I mean, his training's different now. Back then, it was like, man, he was like, what?
Even man, like this is it gets funny because we spend a lot of time in the gym in our youth, but even we call him Army Guy, but his name's Jason Collins, right? Jason Collins was one of the guys that first time I met him, he was like, I was ego lifting like 5 plates for squat, going down like half a foot. The guy walks up to me and he's like, maybe you should try to lighten up the weight and go like lower than just 1 foot. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then like I was just like, F this guy, right?
Yeah.
And like, screw this dude. And then I literally, like, being stubborn as I was, I just did 5 plates for the year. Like I just kept doing it over rather than reducing the weight like I should have. I just kept repeating 5 plates and I'm going to get lower. I'm going to get lower, which is probably a bad idea. I don't recommend people doing it.
Yeah.
But then one year, the like following year, he sees me squat. He's like, okay. You know, like and then I told him like the truth. I'm like, you know what, man, I was really pissed at you. But at the same time, yeah, it was valuable what you did, like telling me, right? So like, that's definitely somebody that helped me out during my journey. So like, you know, those people are not out there saying I helped this guy or that guy. They just kind of quietly go about their business. You know, not all heroes wear capes, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Anyways, man, I'll let you go. We got the Olympia Q&A coming up too, man. The Olympia live watch one.
Man, it's gonna be crazy. I'm working that day, though. I don't know how that's gonna work.
But it's in the evening.
I'm working.
Are you working evening?
Yeah.
Like for prejudge or finals?
It depends on what time it is. I could maybe take a break.
Prejudge is Friday or evening, and then finals are Saturday evening, I think. I'll have to look at it. It's December 15th to 18th.
Yeah. I'll tell you right now. So 16th I'm off. 15th I'm free in the evening. 16th I'm off. 17th and 18th I work evening.
18 is that Sunday?
Yeah.
So I think 17 and 18 are where it is, right? I don't think they do 18th nighttime like the open. I think open's done by Saturday night.
Yeah, it is.
Right. So Saturday, Sunday you're working?
Saturday, Sunday I'm working evening, but I'll figure it out. I mean, it's quite hop one. Figure it out.
It's live. You're gonna be walking around doing work like while we're live.
Yeah, we'll see.
I'm trying to see if other people will hop on and get like 3-4 of us on here.
That'd be wicked. And then I can just
have like a round table and then everybody gives their opinion. Not everybody's like hardcore into bodybuilding like us, but you can have some people on. They can hop in and out, and then even people can ask us questions if we have, you know, like one live viewer.
Cac should come on too one day.
Yeah. All right, bro.
But
all right, take care, man.
Peace out.